What is up, everybody? Welcome to our bi-weekly community call. We have a little bit of stuff to touch on this week. It might not be too long. We'll just see how it goes. But before we dive into the announcement we made yesterday, I'll do the general governance housekeeping that we always do. So I'm not sure if we covered it last time. Maybe we did, but just for a good refresher, RIP41, the PXGLP Chronos partnership passed. I think we actually did cover what it was last time, but Karn, I know you're big into this, so I'll let you do the pitch. I know it's been contributing to a lot of the recent PXGLP growth. So if you want to give the pitch, the high level pitch, feel free.
Yeah. So the backstory is that we launched PXGLP and it hasn't really caught traction because of all the GLP wrappers out there. Like, we have one of the lowest fees, but it didn't come with any additional things you can do with it. So it's like just a very vanilla auto compounder, which isn't the most attractive yield opportunities, I suppose. So when Chronos got in touch with us, one of the cool ideas we came up with is like, what if we just threw this thing into a pool and had some VE tokens to be able to vote on it, to direct emissions to it. So yeah, that was the idea we rolled with. They were kind enough to grant us a partner allocation. And so we now have a very decent stack of VECHR that we are going to constantly vote on this pool with. We're also going to test out a few bribe strategies of putting down some bribes every week on this pool. And because we're the main voter, if nobody else votes on our pool, that's fine. We just get our bribes back to try again next week. So we're sort of, just test and prod in the sense that we're trying to see what we can do when we have some protocol-owned liquidity seated in the pool. Well, most of the pool isn't us right now, but to also be able to vote on it, to also be able to bribe it. Currently, it seems to be going really, really well. But yeah, very much something we're constantly watching and reevaluating to see if there's anything we can optimize. Also, another idea we came up with is for any other GLP wrapper projects, one very easy way we can work together is to just put, both our GLP wrappers in the pool and co-incentivize or co-vote on the pool. And that could be a really good way to, bring more usage to both these wrappers, right? So we don't necessarily have to compete with anyone. We can work together with anyone. And that's a really neat route that we would probably be exploring very soon because previously when we had these conversations, a lot of it was just, Chronos isn't live yet. We don't know what they're going to do. We don't know what the numbers are going to look like. So now that they are live and we are starting to get some numbers roll in about, how much the emissions are, what the bribe efficiencies might look like, these conversations might proceed a little faster. So yeah, that's the TLDR of it. And always just a word of caution. This isn't, financial advice or telling you what to do or not to do with the money. Chronos is still quite a new project, so please be mindful and look through their docs and audit reports before you make any of your own decisions.
And yeah, for those who have not been keeping an eye on the deposit tracker, I think we are now approaching like 500,000 in the Pirex GLP PX GLP deposits. So they've been going up pretty significantly since the start of this Chronos pool. So yeah, check that out. I think, there Funky posted a chart. It's like it's completely vertical, which is always a good sign when it comes to TVL deposits. So yeah, check it out. Let us know what you think. Always appreciate feedback and whatnot, and we'll do a little bit of promo around this probably in the next week or two just to get some more eyeballs on it. So you guys kind of get the early-ish alpha.
Yeah, and maybe like one last FAQ on it. For those of you wondering like what is happening to the yield that is accruing while the tokens are locked in other smart contracts like liquidity pools, what we're going to do with those is to forward those as self bribes back into the pools that generated them, right? So for example, if your LP PX GMX on Camelot, there is ETH rewards that their Camelot contracts cannot claim, but we can claim on their behalf. We will be forwarding those periodically as well. On Camelot, they don't have bribes yet, so those will be like the Nitro pool incentives back to the LPers for Chronos. If you're LPing PXGLP, the ETH yield that is accruing, we will periodically claim them and forward them as a bribe back for that pool. I hope that answers your questions. If the pools, gauges, or systems change in the future, we'll keep an eye on that to make sure we don't lose any of these things. They will never be lost. But just to say, like, if you have any more questions, feel free to ask that.
Yeah, UTXE asked, can we do something similar for PX GMX?
Yeah. So for Camelot system, they don't have gauges or bribes at the moment. What they do have are these Nitro incentives. So yeah, we will get the Treasury Committee to start forwarding the ETH rewards from the PXGMS, from the pools, back as a Nitro reward for the LPers in the pools. I hope that answers your question.
Cool. So if there's no more questions about Pirex GMX, Pirex GLP, we can move on to the next governance proposal that is live, which is RIP 42. And the idea behind this one is we are getting permission from the DAO to build Hidden Hand V2. And I just shared the proposal in the town hall text chat. It's live on Snapshot right now. I don't think many people have any issues with this particular proposal. It ends, I think voting ends tomorrow, which at the time of this recording, if you're listening to the recording, would be May 6th. So either way, it looks like it's going to pass pretty easily. For those of you who haven't checked out the proposal, I definitely recommend it. It gives a lot of insight into what we're working on with Hidden Hand V2. So it introduces quite a bit new features. So it introduces range bribes, limit bribes, a yield harvester. We're expanding to more chains, and we're introducing new markets, or at least that's the plan. So I don't know. I'm happy to go into what all of these are, but if anybody else up here wants to kind of dive into some of the features on Hidden Hand V2, feel free to take a stab at it first.
Sure, I can go ahead. All right, so this is something that we've been working on for the past little bit. We decided to move it up higher on the priority list just because of a lot of the feature requests that we've been getting from bribers, from users, and we got a really positive feedback to, 1 second here, to RIP 39, and via RIP 39, a lot of other feature requests came in, asking for new sort of like coverage. So with RIP 42, essentially what we're trying to do is give Hidden Hand, a new face. A lot of you guys might have seen what we did with the Pirex website. I think there was a point in time where, and I'm sure we'll cover Pirex V2 in a bit here, but there was a time where it was just for convex, and the UI was tailored to the Curve ecosystem. And now that we're using Pirex for PXETH and we're expanding it out to different tokens, like even Butterfly, for example, we just went for a simpler looking, cleaner UI. The same is true here with Hidden Hand. It got a bit messy because we added protocols faster than we thought we would. So we're just going to clean that up. And beyond that, the big feature are these two new types of bribes, right? So what we have all been doing in the current state of Hidden Hand is we've been doing what we're labeling as spot bribes. Basically, someone can come in, just make a deposit and vote, and claim that bribe at the end of the epoch. The first new type of bribe is these range bribes, right? So those ones basically allow you to set what is like a reward rate per vote. So a briber, for example, our friends at Rocket Pool or Lido, whoever the case is, or even some of the, maybe it's more tailored to actually the smaller ones, the smaller bribers. For any hidden hand market, they can come in and say exactly how much they want to pay per vote. And basically, like, we'll try and fill those bribes using not only the delegates, but the open community of those token holders. And if they don't get the, no, actually not for that one, but yeah, essentially it just increases the efficiency. And one thing that was holding back a lot of people from using hidden hand was the volatility that was attached to it. Basically, like, a lot of people wanted to set up a bribe incentive program, but they didn't know how much they would have to set aside because every week they were paying a different amount per vote, right? So range bribes solve exactly that. Limit bribes is another interesting one. So you can basically say the maximum amount of tokens you want per vote. And that basically says that, like, it's basically like a fill or kill order, right? If, like, the bribe that you put in doesn't get fully utilized and, like, gets you the amount of tokens you want to spend per vote, then you would get a refund. So this is also uh, just another way of just improving hidden hand and giving people more options in terms of how they want to leverage the platform. For the user, it'll basically all look the same. You'll see a nice round number there, and you'll vote for it, and you'll be able to claim it at the end. But, like, these improvements should be a good catalyst to, like, pull in more people. The other fun thing is that yield harvester. We already had a vote on that, but just cementing that again, and more chains, right? So we're starting with Arbitrum and Polygon. We already had Ethereum, Optimism, and one thing we didn't mention in the proposal because we haven't used it was Metis. But just expanding the chains a little bit and 3 new markets, right? So Pendle on Ethereum. I know some people were super hyped last time about Pendle. And that is basically what we're doing with them. Premia on Arbitrum with a self-bribing pool that maybe Karn can touch on a little bit. And Aura also is moving to Arbitrum, is creating a new instance on Arbitrum. So 3 new markets also. So overall, it's a really good upgrade to Hidden Hand and should put us in a position where we can hopefully, like, leverage this until like PXETH comes out. We won't have to keep on making little small improvements. We just push one big upgrade.
Sick. So if there's any,
So please vote
yeah,
on that.
yeah, please vote. It's a good habit to get into. Keep an eye on the snapshot. It's been super active lately, and so we appreciate everybody, like, taking the time to head over there and actually be a participant in the DAO. So shout out to all of you. But yeah, the Hidden Hand V2 is going to be a pretty sick upgrade. I think it's going to make Hidden Hand even more of a, like, mainstay in the sort of bribe competitor landscape. There's not that many competitors, but after this upgrade, I think most of them will be pretty far behind where Hidden Hand is going to be. So yeah, shout out to the devs for building that out and listening to all of the feedback from not only the community, but also from partners and implementing and building out their suggestions. So next thing on the plate is the Pirex V2 announcement. So yesterday, in case you happened to miss it somehow, we announced that Pirex V2 is live. And for those of you who haven't checked it out, I definitely recommend checking out the blog post we put out alongside it. It gives a lot of details about what is all sort of packaged into Pirex V2. And the cool part about it is most of it's really not like these substantial contract changes or anything like that. So if you're a Pirex user, there's not really any action items for you outside of exploring the new interface and seeing all the new usability improvements. But the other big part of it was the Pirex Butterfly launch. So as many of you know, you've all been asking for Pirex Butterfly for a long time. Managing your locks and doing auto compounding and all of these things has been a pain in the ass for some people, given that they, one, have to remember to do their relocks in a timely manner, but two, also have to do auto compounding and stuff on their own. Pirex Butterfly can now handle all of that for you. So there's two deposit options. There's PX Butterfly and APX Butterfly. So PX Butterfly is the, we'll call it the more hands-on experience. So it'll be very similar to the current setup that you have with RO Butterfly, in that you have to kind of claim your own ETH and manage all of that yourself. But the relocks are managed automatically for you. And then APX Butterfly does everything for you automatically. So it automatically manages your locks. It auto compounds the ETH into more Butterfly and then locks that for RO Butterfly. So if you just want a set and forget option, then APX Butterfly is going to be the best one for you. But if you like receiving your ETH rewards and you want to do things with those, then PX Butterfly is going to be the option for you. So we recommend checking that out. And if you're one of the people who've been asking for it, please use it and give us feedback and let us know what you think. So anything else we want to talk about for Pirex Butterfly before I go into the other V2 changes? No? Cool.
I think there was a question about, I think we discussed this yesterday, about the voting for PX Butterfly and APX Butterfly, whether you can vote on redacted snapshots with those, and the answer is at the moment no, just because of potential governance attacks where people can borrow PX Butterfly or APX Butterfly and then vote with that, as was seen unfortunately by Bean. So just thought I'd throw that into the recording.
Cool. And then Edith Moore is asking, is there a plan for a PX Butterfly gauge?
Yeah, so we're working on for the new pools. We'll get the gauges. Getting gauges is a bit easier these days, given the new stances in the community, the wider Curve community. So we'll get a gauge for those and yeah, get those incentivized as well.
Yeah. So let's see. Does the 4-month original locking period for PX Butterfly when you deposit reset every 4 months, or is the penalty waived after 4 months?
Do you want me to take that one, Colin? You want to take it? We talked about this.
Yeah, you take it.
Okay. So PX Butterfly works exactly like PX CVX. So right now, since PX Butterfly just launched, we'll have a fresh deposits of Butterfly. The contract will lock that Butterfly for RL Butterfly, and over time we'll have the contract will have Butterfly unlocking at different periods in time, and the way that users can unlock PX Butterfly for Butterfly is in two ways. Either you can go through the pool and get it instantaneously as you can with the PX CVX pool, now called a bit different, but we'll use that for simplicity. And then the other way is that when Butterfly that is in the PX Butterfly contract is unlocking, you can, as a user, basically claim that slot by paying a fee to unlock at a certain time. So basically, right now, the Butterfly, the earliest you could unlock is in 16 weeks, but say in 5 months down the line, if there's Butterfly unlocking tomorrow, you could unlock it tomorrow, and then the fee kind of scales how soon you unlock. So if you unlock, it's like literally the next second, you pay 5%. If you decide to unlock in 16 weeks, then you pay 0% fee. But the basic idea is that it just depends on the availability of Butterfly as unlocking in the PX Butterfly contract. Sorry for the monologue.
Yeah, that answered it way better than I would have. UTXE asks, why did the team not seed the pool for PX Butterfly?
So this is something we're still discussing internally, so we may do that. But we're also thinking about, we'll get the gauge, and then we may also use some of our V curve or convex to vote on that as well.
Yeah, I would just consider the liquidity strategy around PX Butterfly and Butterfly to be in flux. Just for the sake of the announcement and the blog post, we wanted to be clear that we didn't initially seed it or anything like that. So that doesn't mean we would never or anything.
Yeah, I'll just add some stuff here too. I think the main purpose behind PX Butterfly is more around the auto compounding for people who maybe have smaller positions and smaller positions relative to what the gas price is at that moment. Um, that was the main purpose behind PX Butterfly, not as much of the constant liquidity side. So even if we do seed an LP, like I don't think it's gonna be that. I don't think it's gonna be that thick, because there's also a lot of butterfly liquidity issues that not issues, but butterfly liquidity initiatives that we want to tackle and figure out. Right, I think the old LP comes to mind. What do we want to do there? This Unity 3 sort of stance that a lot of projects are taking, and
Timmy,
someone else is.
hold on. Before you keep going, your mic is like down bad at the moment.
Yeah, it was fine. I think you might have covered it or something.
Okay, is it better now?
Way better. Yeah.
Okay. Where did I cut off?
I don't even remember.
When you were talking about the size of the seed, like which seed probably a small amount.
Yeah, exactly. I think we will seed like a small amount just so like maybe we can get some integrations for it. Make sure there's a way for people to liquidate it if that's ever the case. If people need instant liquidity, like there will be a small pool, but I don't think we're. Yeah, what I was trying to say is I think there's bigger liquidity issues to solve at hand than PX Butterfly. The Uni V3 pool comes to mind and how other people are using that and it's not POL. The balancer ohm pool comes to mind. A couple different ones. So I wouldn't say like building the PX Butterfly liquidity is a top priority.
Cool. And somebody asked, is the vault already live? TVL is still 0. I don't know if the TVL number is like right or not, but yes, the vault is live. But one thing to consider is that like TVL is probably not going to grow substantially until the next like bigger wave of unlocks, right? Because people can't migrate their current RL Butterfly to Pirex. So I would just keep that in mind. Yeah, most people are locked up. So as waves of unlocks occur, then the TVL will grow over time. And if people decide like PX Butterfly isn't like the thing they want to use, that's like not a huge deal either. We just wanted to make sure that it was an option for the community because it was highly requested by everybody here. So it's not like this is going to be like the number one, rewards driver for our Butterfly or anything like that.
Yeah, I thought I'd just add as well, like the Colton's thing is like a PX Butterfly is not replacing RL. It's just a quality of life improvement, and there are fees. It's not free. There's 5% rewards fee on PX Butterfly, 5% compounding fee. So if you're an PX Butterfly, you'll pay around 10% fee, and the reason why that's there is just to make it less attractive, or to make RL Butterfly still the best way of getting that that lock token, because otherwise it would defeat the point of having a 4-month lock. So basically, if you're a user who wants to be more hands-off, you have that trade-off. You don't have to pay gas, you don't have to lock, you don't have to sell, etc. It just happens, but it's not as good as if you were doing it yourself.
Cool. I saw a question. Yeah, will deposits be tracked in the deposit tracker? Of course. Hot Wheels will be on it. He's a busy guy these days, so as soon as he finds some time to allocate towards getting the bot set up, I'm absolutely sure he'll do it. So deposit tracker fans, do not worry. It'll be taken care of. And somebody asked, can we have a walkout song for each team member for the community call? Yeah, maybe we can work that in. Joel asks, how does borrowing against PX assets work with regards to the claimable rewards? This is definitely not a me question, so either Funky or Karn here.
I think it's difficult to answer because it depends on the integration. Like previously, what was it called? It was the one that got eaten by tribe. Rory. So for example, Rory back in the day, you could have your convex LPs there, and then you could claim the rewards, and the rewards would be used to pay back your position. So it really depends on the integration. Not really something we can answer. It really depends on whether or not the lending market that supports the PX asset also has the ability to claim the rewards. But definitely something we're thinking about.
And then so APX assets are better suited, just for the recording.
Yeah. Basically, it's like Geom or Rep Stakey, for example.
When PX on L2, I'm not sure what you're asking there. I think if you're talking about PX Butterfly, probably never. If you're talking about like other Pirex options, I mean, Pirex is already on Arbitrum, so that's like a good example there. Is PX CVX hard mode gone for now? I don't think so. So like, and I was going to talk about this in the next part of the Pirex, because we're still in the Pirex Butterfly section. So the thing about the modes is that we are now moving away from calling them modes, and we're just kind of calling them vaults. So the system is more intuitive. So I think the devs and the front end devs were having a hard time when thinking about future integrations. They were having a hard time fitting all of the functionality very cleanly into these various modes. So we're kind of moving to a vault-based system. So I don't know exactly what the setup is right now as it pertains to hard mode or expert mode, but yeah, I don't think any of them are like disappearing as far as I am aware. They should just be under the vault naming convention now. So just keep that in mind for all of the future stuff we add on there. Which is, I guess, a good way to pivot to what else is new under Pirex V2. So as you all have probably seen, if you are an active user of Pirex, the interface changed quite a bit. As Sammy alluded to earlier, whenever we sort of first launched Pirex, it was super centered around Pirex Convex, and therefore it was targeting a lot of the people in the Curve ecosystem. And so we thought it made sense, of course, to make sure the UI and UX was catered to that user group. But as we expand into Arbitrum and all of these other DeFi protocols into the future, it makes sense to make sure that the UI and UX is a little bit more intuitive for users across various ecosystems. So the UI is now cleaner, more flexible. It should be easier to navigate, and it kind of all exists under this unified visual aesthetic. So for those of you who are used to the old one, you might have a little bit of nostalgia, but we made sure to leave the homepage kind of the same, but the vaults page is the one that got the bigger update. On top of that, I just mentioned this as well, we have started pivoting away from the easy, standard, and expert modes to just using a vault system, which I think is probably more in line from a user experience and user interface perspective with the rest of the DeFi ecosystem. So it's easier to understand whenever you're kind of navigating, and it should be a little bit more intuitive for people who are new to the platform. They don't have to kind of go through this learning process of what does easy mode mean, what does standard mode mean, and what does expert mode mean. So hopefully you all enjoy the new sort of vault system. If there's any questions about how it works or anything like that, let us know, and we can, try to make sure to work that into things like the docs and UI hints and stuff like that. I think we're also pushing more details onto the UI, so you'll be able to get more insights into things like each vault's underlying strategy, what kind of fees are associated with it, historical data, stuff like that. So you have a new level of transparency within Pirex that we didn't have before. As far as I know, there's a new dashboard as well that has a searchable and filterable table, so it makes it easier for you to find and manage your position. And yeah, I think that covers all of the UI updates. I'd be curious to hear if people have any questions about the UI or anything you like or don't like. It looks like people, new Pirex UI is much cleaner. Vault transition is more clear. Yeah, so shout out to Greenbergs and Hot Wheels and Co. for really banging that out. They've been working hard over the past couple of months, making sure that everything looks good, works properly, stuff like that. So if there's any questions, just let us know. We can work those in. I saw a question earlier, something about borrowing. Yeah, will there be any PX asset integrations into lending protocols? Yeah, as far as I know, that's something that is kind of being worked on, but it's not an overnight thing. So figuring out what those protocols should be, what the integration should look like, and whatnot is on the team's plate. So figure that out as it comes. Yeah, and as Funky mentioned, liquidity is the main hurdle for lending. You want to make sure that any asset being used in a lending protocol is sufficiently liquid, but it also needs to be sufficiently liquid such that you can have an oracle that is actually trustworthy to use within the lending market. So yeah, oracle stuff is hard. It definitely is. Like I can't remember the requirements from Chainlink, but for like a Pirex asset, Chainlink is like not in the cards. Funky says in the chat, yeah, it's expensive, but also they have pretty strict liquidity requirements and volume requirements. So I think for a Pirex asset, like Pirex would have to be some order of magnitude larger as a platform for that to actually even be in the picture. Butterfly already on Arb? No, Butterfly is not on Arbitrum and probably won't be. We get a lot of questions about Redacted and Butterfly moving to really just Butterfly stuff moving to L2s, and I just, yeah, that's not like a near-term focus at all. Cool. I think that addresses all of the questions and comments I saw in the chat. I don't really have an exhaustive or an extensive agenda today. Is there anything anybody else up here wants to touch on while we have everybody? No?
There was a question about Chronos.
Oh, was there?
Okay, it was me
Oh,
saying
okay. Right, this was in Sammy's comment alpha leak.
It wasn't an alpha league. I just said it made sense.
But it'd have to be APX though, otherwise it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah. I was just saying like I think like one reason that like a lot of the time people would ask us to move to like an L2 or something. And the reason we didn't do it is because there's no point of buying Butterfly on an L2, right? Like there's a direct use case on mainnet, right? But I think if people want it really that bad, I think you can make like APX Butterfly exist on Arbitrum and feed like a really small pool and stuff. It would probably make more sense to see what we want to do with PX ETH bribes and Dinero bribes. And for example, if we are let's just use this Aura example. Our Aura is coming to Arbitrum with Hidden Hand V2. If we want to start bribing Aura on Arbitrum, then it probably makes sense to like create a small APX Butterfly LP on Arbitrum so that we can get bribes out there. And the same is true for like any chain, right? Like I think we're all super excited about a couple different networks. CK Sync looks like it wasn't really a big hit. Lost a lot of money on that.
Congrats.
Personally. Yeah. What else is there? Bear Chain, I think that will be a fun one, which will need to seed a little bit of liquidity for Arbitrum and maybe Optimism, right? I think like wherever you see us doing deployments and stuff is kind of clear indicator of like the direction we want to head as a protocol for obvious reasons. So yeah.
Sweet. And then yeah, there was this like Chronos question. I don't know. Oh, never mind. I guess you just answered that. Somebody said Chronos is too new. No, I mean, yeah, like Chronos is new, as Karn mentioned earlier. But I think we, now that we have a partnership with them, we'll be able to see what the prospects for it are going into the future. So all of that stuff Sammy just said is something we're not talking about doing this like next week or anything like that. It's a more midterm goal. Is there an ETA for the Plutus hidden hand market? It was discussed a lot a few months ago, but seems paused for now.
I don't think they have gauges yet.
Yeah. Good to know. No gauges. Can we bribe Sergey with cheeseburgers to get a better deal on Chainlink Oracle services? Yeah, we can probably for sure bribe him. I don't know what it looks like, but we'll figure it out. I think it makes a lot of sense to keep redacted native L1, but liquidity pools on ARB is free money. Yeah, maybe so. Went on Barachain. Barachain is not real. Okay, so I think that's most of the non-Dinero. Wait, yeah, non-Dinero stuff. So Never, now that we have you, is there any non-Alpha League Dinero update that you want to give, or just heads down building as per usual?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely a few papers coming up to give more light on exactly, it's a pretty big system that, has a lot of building blocks. And yeah, we're close. First building block is somewhat like close to like not like I don't know, not mainnet, but close to like for the first version being done and getting that out, getting that like fully tested because yeah, we can't we need to be very thoughtful on building liquidity for each of these things. So yeah, I think it's still going along nicely, and now that like we're building liquidity for our other PX tokens, we're getting more practice on that. I think we are in a good spot to launch an LST competitively, drive yield towards it, and then stablecoin as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing to mention about Dinero right now is that we are literally in the most boring part of the like building process for a project. It's usually the start of it's the most exciting because you kind of like share the idea with the world. You feel stoked on the idea, and then other people get stoked on the idea. Then the middle part is where we're at now, where we're just kind of like we actually have to build the thing. Which always takes the longest. It's always the slowest, and it's always kind of the least exciting. And then the end of it, of course, is whenever you're preparing for launch and you start building up excitement for it and whatnot, and you actually launch it. So we're in the middle. It's boring. It's slow-ish, but not too slow. Like it's just going at a good pace, as Never described. So yeah, like Karn says, just like a relationship. So it's going well. We don't have like too many updates for you that we couldn't have given you last week or the week before or the week before that. So just keep that in mind for any Dinero related questions. Is it possible to partner with existing validators like Frax to run the redacted relayer on them? I'm too dumb for this question, so somebody else.
Yeah, sure thing. Of course, it's going to take that part is the last building block of the whole system. But yeah, it is possible. And we have thought about not just us being able to, the only ones to run it, but yeah, it'll come in due time.
Cool. Wow, pretty light on the questions this week. I mean, if nobody in the chat has any other stuff and nobody up here has any other things to talk about, we can give people a little bit of their time back on this Friday. So any other things we need to talk about before we close it out up here? I feel like Sammy's itching to say something, but I don't know what. When Butterfly emissions proposal? Thoughts, Funky?
Yeah, that'll be soon. I said end of April, but we'll get that for review internally today, and then probably something early next week, along with another proposal.
Karn, do you have something you want to add?
Yeah. Speaking of butterflies, there's a question, right? How do butterflies gather? Insects.
Oh,
I'll let that hit.
Oh no. Okay.
That was rough, Karn.
Come on. Come on.
Okay, I'm trying.
Oh no. You know, I thought we had moved past this, and Karn just snuck it in. That was like a low blow, right? Yeah. Look at all the crickets in the chat.
I think
Yeah.
the crickets are like a sign of respect because the crickets are an insect.
Yeah. No, Karn snuck that one in. It wasn't planned. I just got. Wait, team. What is the impact of Curve USD on Dinero? Will it's okay? So UTXE, you like to ask these type of questions about like competitors and stealing market share. Like, look, most stable coins are a competitor in some sense or another to Dinero, right? Dinero is a stable coin. That's part of its offering. If there are other stable coins on the market, to some extent, they are a competitor in that they compete for liquidity, they compete for users, mindshare, etc. I mean, like, we're gonna have competitors. You know, it's almost impossible at this state in the market to launch something where you have no competitors. So it doesn't really do much for us to hyper analyze every single project on the market, especially if it's a stable coin, to see if it's a competitor. All we can do is look for stable coins that have similar functionality, which there aren't many, if any at all, and see how they could directly compete with us for the same idea, right? But like, we don't look at USDC and think, oh, stablecoin competitor, you know, how are we going to eat market share, blah, blah, blah. We have to look at our product as a whole and what we're offering as a whole and see how people respond to that in the market. Yeah, you either just beat the competitors or you compete alongside them or anything like that. So not worried about Curve USD at all. We knew it was coming before we even started building Dinero. So it's like I mean, it's not even a surprise or anything. So yeah, I know you like those questions, but I'm going to give you the same answer every single time to them because I just don't think they're like too useful for us to think about at this point. Will bribe TVL, I'm guessing you mean like bribe volume, will that increase with Curve USD? I don't know. We're not like, we don't offer the same market at this point as Vodium does, so I don't see how it would.
I'm guessing as well, since it's Curve, they probably wouldn't bribe on convex, my guess.
Yeah. So I wouldn't worry about that. Cool. I think that is all of the big stuff and all of the big questions. So there's no closing thoughts. We can end this thing. Karn managed to sneak in a joke for all of you who've been waiting weeks and weeks and weeks for a joke.
Yeah, make sure you drop some crickets for that one. That was a really rough one.
It was a low blow. It was a low blow. I wasn't ready for it. Karn snuck it in, and now we're here. Yeah, all the crickets in the chat. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming to hang out. As always, I appreciate you. And yeah, the recording will be up Monday as it usually is. And we will see you all around in the Discord. Enjoy your weekends. Peace out, everybody.
Peace.